Hey everyone, it's Scoopman 5000. We're back for another video, and we're looking at another third-party, unlicensed Marvel figure. This is Murdock. That's right, man, another third-party figure. I just can't get enough recently. We looked at the National Defender, Superman. We looked at the Iron Warrior, Wolverine. And now we got from FLEFTOYS, this is Murdock, who's obviously Daredevil. And if you have a keen eye, this is a specific Daredevil. It's that quarter scale NECA Daredevil. He's shrunk down into 7 inches, and it's a great sculpt. There's a bit of a trivia behind that we're going to get into. But first, we got to open him up. So let's flip it around. We'll take a look at Murdock.
Daredevil, I haven't got time to explain. Just tell me your side of it. I'll know if you're lying.
Don't adjust the quality. This is not the shitty focus on my camera. We're looking at a blurred image of Murdock, and it actually looks like some figure photography, albeit with that effect. And very important to note right here, this is a custom. It is definitely not illegal. It's a custom figure. That's fair. See, action figure for custom Murdock. It says that on the side as well. And then on the back, a lot of words. And definitely this was Google translated. A couple of warnings. Nothing on the bottom. So let's go ahead. Let's get Murdock. Oh. And here he is, man. Murdock. And I gotta be full disclosure here. I already opened the figure, and this guy stinks. I don't know what it is, but whatever petroleum or lubricant or plasticizer is on this figure absolutely smelled when I opened this package. But I let this guy sit out for a day. I hit him with that dish soap and cold water. Hopefully this thing doesn't kill me or maybe turn me blind. But he looks fantastic. That's what we're here for. So we'll take a look at Murdock, Daredevil. For his accessories, we got to start out with the base head, the Daredevil head sculpt, and I love the head sculpts of this sculptor. I believe the name is Jordy Jojovic or something like that. I don't know what language that is, but he's a hell of an action figure sculptor. We'll get into some of his figures later, but especially with this style, the superhero style, I recognize it right away. Great sculptor for NECA. Of course, we're talking about stealing his designs. But anyway, the alternate head is the Murdock head, and it's not the greatest of paint job on this sculpt. I feel like the hair is throwing me off. I feel like he should be a more ginger, more redhead flavor, but straight up dark brown on here. On the figure, some sort of grips. There's another set of grips. You got 2 fists. You got some open action hands. And then you got his chucks and his various staff pieces. You can make sort of a bow staff. And you can attach these ropes to them. You can either rope 2 of them together. There's also one with a grapple hook attached to it. There you go, nice grappling hook with a wire. So definitely some cool posing to be had here. Hopefully I don't break this trying to separate it. And that leaves us with Murdock. And again, sculpted. The original one is a quarter scale figure, so it's like 20 inches tall. And NECA, I think, only ever made Daredevil and Deadpool in terms of comic book figures. They also made a bunch of MCU stuff. So Avengers, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, in that quarter scale. Massive. The Deadpool, I think, had a bootleg a couple years ago. I don't know if he was 6 or 7 inch scale, but I'd like to track that down now that I have this guy. But if I had to choose between the two, I got to go with Daredevil. Just a really badass figure in a more manageable scale, and a scale that I collect. Not a lot of Marvel per se, but this guy has crossed over with DC, with Batman, of course, so there's some fun to be had there. And just an awesome head sculpt there. And especially, I mean, even bringing in the unmasked version, there's definitely like a stylization to it. And then as soon as we get down into the body, just the striations, the musculature of him. And that's not even getting into the details like these little rivets of his armor, sort of bolted in, all the buckles and straps. But just the musculature, the shape of them is just the perfect like superhero sculpt to me. And I wish more figures like were sculpted by this guy. I'm excited to talk about the other DC superhero figures this guy's made. And this company, FLEFTOYS, has done an excellent job taking this figure, shrinking it down. And they did justice with the paint job. Definitely a lot of wash going on. They did say he's like battle damage. I don't really get that, but a lot of shading on him, and that really shows off the side of the abs here, and you know, even the chest. Look at that chest, man. The muscles rippling out. Even on the shoulders, like you don't see that a lot, sort of shading there to really highlight those muscles. And so the top of them is very tight, but then you get into the legs here, and they are actually a little bit looser, right? You do see some fabric sculpted onto the thighs here, on the trunks, and then even down into these boots. Heavily armored at the boots and the gauntlets. but it's still classic Daredevil. This is really the perfect level of stylization to me in terms of design, right? But that's really glazing the original designer. But that being said, I'll repeat myself, but Fleftoys have done justice to this figure, and they've made it available at this scale. So all around a great product, man. You know, I'm not here to argue the morality or, you know, the money of things, or if someone's getting screwed over and not getting paid for their work, but just as a figure, as a product, and as me, the consumer, this is great. Everything I want out of a 7-inch Marvel figure. Even on the back, no paint spared, all sorts of silver dots on them, these armor plates in the back of the belt. Even like, look, the elbow pads right here have some metal scuffs on them. The shading goes all the way down the back. The only thing about the design that's sort of throwing me off is this sort of neck armor. And again, that's down to the original sculpt, but I'm not sure that I've really either paid attention or seen that, you know, noticed that with like Daredevil suits. I mean, you get the chin down, you almost don't notice it, but anytime the chin is separate, or even if we put on the Murdock, Matt Murdock head, I guess let me know what's the significance, if there is any, of that sort of neck armor he's got. Now this figure, I do want to sort of deep dive articulation, because he seems like really well articulated, and you don't really get that a whole lot in 7-inch scale. And even comparing to the NECA figures I own from this sculptor, this seems like way more articulated. So I don't know, maybe they did sort of re-engineer a lot of this stuff. Total waist swivel and mid-torso, and, you know, pretty decent range. Again, like a lot better than most like regular domestic figures we look at. There you see the big ball joint allowing all that movement. He sort of pops off, but he's stiff. I mean, the whole thing is a stiff figure. Definitely no loose joints. Even those shoulders going way out. It's a slight butterfly, kind of one of those useless McFarlane style ones. And that's a pretty decent elbow. I don't know if the original could do that. He's getting a little gangly, but you can get him back into shape. Does the splits decently, but the double knee, right? That does everything you want. Ankles are fantastic. All the joints firm, yet smooth. So great job on the quality control. But now here comes the fun part, my favorite part, and that's going to be comparison. Some fun figures to look at. And we're going to kick things off with the Marvel Legends Daredevil figures. So we got the Spider-Man animated version, one of the earliest reviews I ever made, and also one of the least viewed. And then this guy, the 3-pack Daredevil, on one of the Spider-Man bodies. I think this is the Daredevil all the kids are rocking these days. And it's night and day for me. Like, this is what I want from action figures and from sculpt, from paint. And I thought I liked this figure, but he kind of just looks like a red piece of plastic next to the Flef. Here he is with Bullseye. And then I couldn't find Elektra, so here's the other lady in his life, the recent Jennifer Walter She-Hulk. And because she's so large, you can maybe make this work. She-Hulk should be larger, but she doesn't necessarily have to be. She could be like a short woman and become a head taller. Maybe it works. Here's with a Legends Kingpin. And again, this could work. I mean, should he be a little taller? Probably. And then here's his buddy's Blade and the Punisher from Marvel Legends. Couldn't find the original Blade, but I do prefer that one. And then this Punisher is Kill Crew. This is like the closest to like the movie style Punisher, which I prefer. But I probably do need a white boots Punisher. With that, we're going to do a little jump into some friendlier scale here. So if this old Punisher wants to stand, one of the most recent Marvel Select figures out there, much more articulated Blade. And these two definitely play nice together. This Punisher is basically a statue, but in terms of scale, everyone's playing nice. And I was going to say those are my only Marvel Selects, but I do forget I own the symbiote. If I can fit them all in frame, I'd say that works. That'd be a fun fight. I also got the Watcher somewhere, but for now, here you go. Daredevil with some symbiotes. And then finally, what I was most excited to do is get some DC figures in here. I'm actually more excited with the NECA ones, but first, I did want to throw in some McFarlane Batman figures, if you wanted to do that crossover. And I think this 3 Jokers one is the winner, or anything on this taller scale body. But this is what I came here for. This is the main event with the DC Dark Horse NECA figures. And if I bring in the Murdock head, you can definitely see these are by the same sculptor and they play nice together. Maybe slightly too tall. I feel like Daredevil should be shorter than both Batman and Superman in my mind, but they're literally from different universes, so it couldn't matter less. And this is close enough. This brings me a lot of joy. This Batman, definitely, in terms of looks, my favorite all-time Batman figure. The most 90s looking head sculpt. And really the Superman as well. I could say the same thing. Now I got a Daredevil to have some fun with these guys. And that reminds me, I probably should have brought out some Ninja Turtles to play with Daredevil, but oh well. That's going to do it for the Fleftoys Daredevil. And if you can't tell already, I'm a big fan. I love these third parties, man. It's just been more exciting than anything domestic recently, in my opinion. And now there's a Spider-Man 3 Venom on the way from one of these other third-party companies. You know I got that pre-ordered. I even got the Devil, the Pit bootleg coming in soon, even though that guy's been out for a long time. But stay tuned on the channel. Let's see where we go from here. I'll leave it all with some pictures, and I'll see you guys in the next video.